Hi everyone. So we're going to continue with the TV remote with the keypad. So just to remind you where we got to in the last video, I punched out the holes for the keypad together with this little chamfer just to sort of round things off a bit. So what we're going to do is put the keypad in, and then we're going to save it as a separate part. Oh, seems not to be doing it. Okay, I think that's because I haven't activated it in this command. Anyways, that'll be a separate part. So what I need to show you here is, to date I got you to make a lower and an upper from within the file using the split command. So we took a single part and we split it into two. In this video, I want to make a part from scratch and make sure that it stays as a separate part within the multi-body construction. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to section this view just to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to use the top plane and then create a duplicate of it. So hold the control button down and pull this plane down. And that's why I've left this in a section view. I want to make sure that that plane is just below the edge of that button. So currently 2.2 might work. There we go. You can see that that plane is just beneath that button. All right. So with that plane activated or just selected, I can put a sketch on here. So let's put a sketch in there. And in this sketch, all I want is the base, the kind of flat piece, which is the base. So I'm going to select this rectangle from center. See if I can't get the center of, yes I can get the center of that navigation button outline to show, and then just type something in here which suits me. So just make sure that your pad isn't too large, that it interferes. That says driven eye, it's because this has actually gone and found a couple of, let's try and get that right. Okay, so that when I drew that item, it actually snapped to some other bits and pieces and therefore created relations, and therefore this dimension wouldn't work. So that's good. There's my sketch, and so I'm going to use that sketch there to do an ordinary boss. So we're going to get this to go. It's going to normally want to come out in this direction. I'm going to reverse that so it goes downwards, and let's make this 1 mil. So it's because it's a thin mat. Okay, and up to this point, we've ignored this merge result button. Let's just see if I can get that to. We've ignored that one. What that does, I'm going to leave it for now. What that does, I'll show you what it does in case this happens to you. It merges all three of our models into one. That's not what we want. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to unmerge this, and now watch what happens. It's left the lower and the upper halves alone, and it's given me a new part. So now I have three parts in here. I could even quickly hide these other two. You can see where that other one is. All right, let me just get rid of this highlight because it's a bit annoying. And now I want to put some buttons in there. So to do that, instead of redrawing all of the bits and pieces, I'm going to borrow a sketch from the original buttons thing here. So I've actually highlighted, I've renamed this as buttons cut. I'm going to show, so it's actually showing that sketch already. So I'm going to click on that sketch, and then I'm going to say, let's go to the top plane. I might not be able to get this right straight away. So I'm going to put a sketch on that top plane, and then if you click on that sketch, which is over here, so that it's selected, you can now convert the entities. Okay. Now, you can't use the sketch as it is because that'll mean that the buttons will have no clearance. We have to put a clearance into all of these buttons. We have to make them slightly smaller than what they are. So to do that, the first thing I want to do is I want to convert all of these into construction lines. So here in the properties bar, you can say for construction, or you can hit the control button and you can select their construction geometry. All right, so these are all construction lines, and I would like to offset them. So you can right click and you can say offset. And I want to make it a very small amount, 0.15. And in this properties bar, I can decide which of the construction geometry, which of the lines I'm going to select are going to remain as construction geometry. I'm going to say base geometry. And then we're just going to select the whole lot. And so, oops, yes, now that seems to be right. So let's just see what happens. If we put it in, that's done it. Okay, let's just make sure that that 0.15 has gone inside. I'm not sure that it has. It seems to have gone in the opposite direction. Okay, so that's actually put it in the wrong place. So there are one or two things I can do. One is I can just double click on this dimension and say reverse direction. There we go, that's done it. You can see all of the solid lines are now inside the construction line. The other way to do this would be to go back into that offset command thing and make sure the reverse button was selected. I'm going to leave it as it is because it's good. Okay, so that sketch now you can see, if I just make it, it seems not to be showing it. Okay, that's because my sketches are not showing. There we go. Okay, there is that sketch. So I want that sketch. I could have started that sketch on this top plane. In fact, why don't we just do that? So I'm going to just edit the sketch plane to be the top of that piece there, just to simplify things. Okay, so there's my sketch. I hope this makes sense. There's the sketch there. I'm going to hide this one, so it's out of the way. So I'm going to extrude that one upwards as well. So let's go with extrude. You can see it's just selected the one sketch. I might have to select these others. And then increase this to about 5. That seems to be right. Now, you do want to leave merge result on. It should, Solidworks should actually merge that whole thing into two. Oh, you can see it's actually selected. It's merged the whole lot. Okay, so what we need to do then is to unmerge this. And instead, we now need to, you see we've got 1, 2, and then all of these. So that's a body, that's a body. We need to take all of these bodies together with this matte top, that bit there. So all of those bodies, we need to combine them. So I'm going to hide these two just to show you what's happening. These are 4 separate bodies, or 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separate bodies, and I want to combine them. So if you type combine in the top, you'll get that command. You can see where that is. It's under surfaces combine. Combine is a really, really useful tool. You can subtract as well. I will show that to you in a later video, but for now we want to leave it on add, and we just want to select all of the items we want to combine into one body. So I'm going to combine them, and that allows us to have 3 separate bodies. So a lower, an upper, and the combine. Let's just show these other ones. Right, and I'm going to rename this as Keypad. Okay, so I might have to Keypad 2 or 3 or something. Right, so there we go. I've got 3 bodies. And now the last step before we continue to the actual keypad is I want to make that keypad there, that item there, into its own file. So to do that, you right click on the keypad folder inside the design tree. This is the only way to do it, by the way. And you say insert into new part. Insert into new part. It'll say, what do you want? You say yes, definitely that bit. And then you say yes. It's going to ask you something about keeping standards. You say yes to that. And then you just name it as you want it to be. Now, obviously, you don't want it to look like this. You want that to be, let's just get rid of that one, Control X. We want that to be keypad, space dash space, Control V R1. Now I know, let's just make sure I'm in the right place. I know that that's actually going to conflict with an existing one. That's fine. I'm going to overwrite it. Say save, say yes, that's fine. All right, so what that means is that I now have a separate part. You can see I'm actually in that part here at the top. You can see the file name. I'm in the keypad part. I've got my original one. And what will happen now is, let's just have a look at this. Let's just close that one down. Go and save. Have a look at the height of these. These are 5 mils. You can see that there are no details in the design tree. So this file is entirely dependent at this point on what I do inside my multi-body part. So I want to slice these off so that they're just like 1/4 millimeter above that surface there. So to do that, let's hide this one. I'm going to go to the front plane, the right plane, say sketch. And I want to grab that edge there and offset it by 0.2. Let's make it 0.2. Make sure it's going in the right direction. Let's see if it does it. There it has done it in the right direction. It's great, and it's long enough to be able to cut with. So you know, if those were not linked in, I could make this bigger. So exit that. And here, all I need to do is to use the extruded cut command. Select that sketch. And then select through all, and then make sure that this arrow points upwards so that you slice that bit. All right, so you can see I've sliced that keypad. Now watch what happens when I go across to this file here. You'll see that's also been sliced. So you can see that little bit of rounding. And that means that I now have this part ready to play with as well, independently of the other files. So let's do that. The first thing I want to do is I want to put a draft in all of this. So I'm going to activate the draft command. Here I can either go from that plane or from that one. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to make it this bottom plane. And let's make it 1 degree is fine. It's probably steeper than we need, but just to show you what actually happens, I could select these one by one. In fact, I might have to, but the other way to do this is to go to face propagation and say all faces. Unfortunately, what it does here is because it's looking for the nearest faces, it only selects this first set of faces there, and I don't want those ones, so I'm going to say none. And then here I could select these one by one, or you could right select and say select tangency. You have to do this for all of these. And that one I can just select. I can just keep going. So we only want the upright faces. We definitely don't want the top faces because that's not going to work. And you can see that the draft direction is going to go downwards. I want to click on this arrow so it goes upwards. Let's make this bigger just so we can see the result and see if that does the right thing. There we go. You can see that's done the right thing. That's too big, by the way, so let's just change that back to 1 and say okay. Okay, so there we go. We've got a 1 degree draft. The next thing I want to do is just put some fillets in here. So these will be pretty small, make them about 2.25. I'm just going to select these other faces. Oops, that one there is not right. So to deselect, I'm holding the control button down and just selecting the ones I don't want. If that doesn't work, you have to find them in there. And then just, it's that one there, I think. Delete that one. Okay, so make sure that they are just the faces you want and say okay. All right, there we go. We've got our keypad. I'm going to leave it like that. For those who are interested in making this a more complex button, I will maybe do a video on doing that. And the last thing I want to do is to shell this, and I want a 1 mil wall thickness. So I should be able to select that face, and it'll just remove those bits there. There we go. So that's how you do this separate part. I now have a separate part which I can draw from, and I can play with it as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.